You ever get that feeling? You know, like you're putting in the hours with your English, you're studying, you're listening, you're even trying to speak it, but it's like hitting a wall.
Yeah, like you're on that treadmill but going nowhere.
Exactly. It's a frustrating feeling. And that, my friend, is what we call a learning plateau.
It really is. You might feel like your speaking isn't getting any smoother, or the words you thought you had down just disappear when you need them.
Ugh, tell me about it.
And maybe understanding native speakers still feels like a marathon. Mentally, it can be a real downer.
You really can. And here's the thing. These plateaus, they're actually super normal, especially after that initial burst of progress you make when you first start learning.
Right, when everything's brand new and your brain's making connections like crazy.
Yeah, you see big improvements then. But as you move along, as you get more advanced, those improvements, they get smaller. It's like your brain needs new challenges.
Exactly. You think about how your brain learns, right? At first, you're building those basic neural pathways. That happens fast. But then you're trying to refine those pathways, make them more complex. That takes more work, more focus.
And maybe a new approach.
Definitely. So plateaus, they're normal, but they do tell us one thing. Time to shake things up a bit.
Exactly. So that's what this deep dive is all about. We're going to figure out why these plateaus pop up in your English learning.
And more importantly, we're going to give you some solid ways to bust through them. Get you back on track to seeing that progress you're working so hard for.
Absolutely. So where do we even begin?
Well, first, let's look at why you might be feeling stuck. And one of the first things to check is your learning routine. Could it be that you've settled into a routine that's comfy, but not really getting you anywhere?
Okay, so think about your typical week of English learning. What's it look like? Are you mainly sticking to the same kind of stuff? Same articles, same podcasts, same old flashcards?
It's good to be consistent, sure. But if your routine never changes, your brain doesn't have to create any new connections.
It's like you've carved out this groove in your learning and you're just stuck there.
Yeah, and our brains, they love new stuff, new challenges. If they're getting the same input all the time, they just get good at processing that specific thing.
But they're not growing, not really.
Right, just like if you only lift the same light weight over and over at the gym, your muscles won't get any stronger. You got to challenge yourself to see those gains.
So true. And another reason, and I think this is a big one for a lot of people, is not speaking enough.
Ah, yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in what I call passive learning. Watching English videos, reading articles, listening to podcasts, even listening to us.
Right.
It's all good stuff. Don't get me wrong. It helps you understand, but...
But there's a huge difference between just taking it all in and actually producing the language.
Totally.
Passive learning is like you understand the rules of a game, but speaking, that's like actually playing the game.
Okay, I like that.
When you speak, you have to pull out those words, build sentences on the spot, and use grammar in real time.
It makes your brain work harder.
It does. And, you might make mistakes when you speak, but those uncomfortable moments, those are actually good for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like your brain saying, hey, pay attention here.
Interesting. So making mistakes is actually part of the process.
It's essential. Those mistakes, they're like feedback. They show you where you need to improve.
Yeah.
And if you avoid speaking because you're scared of making mistakes...
You're missing out on that feedback.
Exactly. It's like going through a maze blindfolded because you're too scared to bump into the walls.
But the bumps, those are the things that help you figure out the way through.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've got the routine, we've got speaking. What else can make us feel stuck?
Sometimes it's not about how you're learning, but why you're learning. Have you actually set any goals for yourself, like specific goals for your English?
Or is it just a general, I want to get better?
Because without a clear goal, it's hard to know what to focus on, how to measure your progress. It's like saying you want to eat healthier without deciding what that actually means. Do you want to eat more veggies, cut back on sugar, lose weight?
You need to be specific.
Right. Like maybe your goal is to talk about current events with a language partner for 5 minutes. Boom, now you've got something concrete to work towards.
Okay, I'm getting this. And what about feedback? Is that important?
It's huge. Imagine learning an instrument without knowing if you're hitting the right notes.
Ouch.
It'd be tough, Rob. It's the same with English. You could be practicing, but if you don't know how your grammar is, how your pronunciation sounds, how clear you are...
They could be practicing the wrong things.
You could, and you wouldn't even know it. It's like, as we said before, shooting arrows in the dark.
You need that feedback to help you hit the target.
You do.
Okay.
And one last thing. Sometimes a plateau could just be a sign of burnout.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you're just bored.
If you're doing the same old thing day after day.
Your brain might just be checking out.
Makes sense. Learning should be fun.
It should be. If you're forcing yourself to do boring stuff all the time, your motivation drops and your brain's not going to learn as well. So a plateau could be your brain's way of saying, hey, let's switch things up a bit.
I think we've spent enough time on the problem. How about some solutions? What can our listener do to actually bust through these plateaus?
All right, let's get into it. First up, change what you're listening to and reading. Gonna mix things up.
So if you're used to, let's say, American podcasts, try some British or Australian ones.
Exactly. Or even podcasts with non-native speakers who are really good at English.
And don't just stick to one type of podcast.
Right. Try a comedy podcast, maybe a documentary. Listen to some interviews.
Same goes for reading.
Yeah.
Step outside that comfort zone.
Yes. Check out blogs about stuff you actually enjoy. Dive into online forums. Read news from different places. You could even follow along with the scripts of your favorite movies or shows.
That's a good one.
It exposes you to all sorts of new vocabulary, different ways of putting sentences together, and just a wider range of styles.
So you're giving your brain something new to chew on.
Exactly.
All right, what else can we do?
Make speaking a daily habit. Even if it feels weird, even if you're just talking to yourself.
Wait, talking to myself, isn't that like a sign of,
I know. But trust me, it's super helpful. Just narrate your day. I'm getting dressed. I'm making breakfast. I'm wondering why I'm talking to myself. Say what you're thinking about what's going on in the world. You can even record yourself talking for a minute or two about anything.
So just getting those words out there, that's the important part.
It is. It helps make the vocabulary and grammar you know stronger. And it shows you where you need more work. Plus, when you listen back to yourself...
You might be surprised at what you hear.
Right, you might notice things you want to change.
Okay, that's actually not a bad idea. What about, actually talking to other people?
Oh, now you're talking. Seriously, though, joining a language exchange or a conversation group, that can be a game changer.
Because you're actually using the language in a real setting.
You are. It makes you more confident. You hear natural language and slang that you won't find in textbooks. And honestly, it just feels good to understand and be understood.
And it can be more fun to learn with other people.
Absolutely.
We talked before about how important it is to have specific goals. What kind of goals should our listeners be setting?
So instead of just saying, I want to learn more words, try something like, this week, I'll learn 5 new phrasal verbs that have to do with work, and I'll actually use them.
Make them action-oriented.
Right. Or instead of, I want to get better at speaking, aim for, I'm going to talk with my language partner about a hobby for 5 minutes.
Specific and measurable. I like it.
It gives you something concrete to focus on. You can track your progress. And when you reach those goals, it feels good. And that keeps you motivated.
And how about feedback? What are some good ways to get feedback?
Well, these days, there are so many resources. For writing, you can use things like Grammarly or even the spell check that comes with your computer.
And for speaking?
There are platforms like italki or Cambly where you can find a tutor that can help you with pronunciation, grammar, all of it.
Or even just record yourself and listen back to it.
Exactly. You can often catch your own mistakes that way. Now, another thing we touched on before was vocabulary. If you're having trouble remembering new words, maybe it's time to change how you're learning them.
Because just memorizing lists isn't always effective.
It isn't. Try learning new words in sentences that are actually relevant to you, to your life. When you make flashcards, don't just write the word and the definition.
Add a sentence with the word in it, maybe even a picture.
Yeah, make those connections in your brain. And when you study those words, say them out loud.
Use all your senses.
Exactly. It helps you remember them better, and it helps with your pronunciation, too.
Okay, let's talk about a technique I've heard is really useful. Shadowing.
Oh, shadowing is great. So you listen to a short audio clip of a native speaker, maybe a sentence or two, maybe even a whole paragraph. And then you try to repeat it exactly how they said it.
Like an echo?
Kind of. You copy their pronunciation, their intonation, even their pauses. It's like you're casting a shadow over their voice.
Makes sense. And why is that helpful?
It's amazing for pronunciation. It helps you get that natural rhythm and flow of English. And it makes you more fluent overall. You're really internalizing the sounds and patterns of the language.
I like it. And one last thing. Something that might feel a bit scary, but can really push you forward. Stretch goals.
Ah, yes.
Stretch goals. Basically, it's challenging yourself to do something that feels a little bit beyond what you're comfortable with.
Give us some examples.
Sure. Maybe you give a short presentation in English about something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Or you could make a video about your hobby.
So putting yourself out there a bit more. You got it. You could write a blog post, contribute to an online forum, or even just be more active in online communities where people speak English.
Even if those things feel tough at first.
They make you use your English in new and challenging ways.
And that leads to growth.
Big time. Now, as you start trying all these things, it's so important to have the right mindset. You're not going to break through a plateau overnight.
It takes time, right?
It does. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's normal to feel discouraged if you don't see results right away. But remember, progress isn't always a straight line. You might not feel like you're improving, but your brain is still learning.
It's like going to the gym.
Exactly. You don't get ripped after just one workout. It's the consistent effort over time that makes the difference. Language learning is the same.
Keep at it.
And sometimes those big breakthroughs happen after you've felt stuck for a while.
So how do we stay positive? How do we keep going?
A few things you can do. One is to actually track your progress. Maybe record yourself speaking in English once a month. When you listen back later, you'll probably be surprised by how much you've improved.
You can actually hear the difference.
You can. It shows you how far you've come. What else? Oh, celebrate those small wins.
The small wins.
Yeah. Did you finally get that joke in English? Did you write an email without any problems? Did you ask for directions and understand the answer?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Those are victories. Be proud of them. And be curious about the language. Think of it as an adventure, not just a chore. And maybe most importantly, don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone learns differently. Focus on your own progress. Look back at where you were a few months ago and see how far you've come.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So any tools or resources that can help our listener on this journey?
Tons. For vocabulary, I recommend Anki or Quizlet. They use a technique called spaced repetition, which helps you remember things better. For finding language partners, check out HelloTalk or Tandem.
What about websites or videos? Stuff like that.
Oh, there's a whole world out there. On YouTube, you've got channels like BBC Learning English or Speak English with Vanessa.
Those are good ones.
They've got all sorts of lessons and tips. If you like podcasts, try Luke's English podcast or The English We Speak. And don't forget about AI tools like ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah. ChatGPT can be really helpful.
You can practice writing with it, ask grammar questions, even get feedback on your speaking.
So many options.
The key is to use them regularly. Make them part of your routine. Even a little bit every day can make a big difference.
So as we wrap things up here, I think the big takeaway is that almost everyone who learns a language hits these plateaus. You're not alone.
Absolutely not. It's normal. It's part of the process. But the people who reach their goals, they're the ones who keep going, who adapt when things get tough.
And you, my friend, you're already doing that just by listening to this, so keep that in mind.
You've come a long way, and you can go so much further.
You really can. And remember, progress isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's happening in the background. Your brain is making those connections until one day
Things click. You start to understand better, you speak more fluently, and that plateau feels like a distant memory.
So stay motivated, stay curious about the language, and keep speaking. Even when it's hard, even when you don't see results right away, keep speaking.
Because that's how you get to those aha moments.
And that's what makes it all worth it.